I gave my 89-year-old neighbor the ride of her life she will never forget. I used to live next to this incredibly sweet old woman who was every bit as gentle and caring as she was confused and forgetful. She was a retired nurse, and back before the dementia took over her mind, she'd do things like invite me over for hot chocolate and help me with my science projects by sharing stories from her years working in the hospital. But then the Alzheimer's hit hard, and she became a shadow of her former self. There were times she'd sit on her front steps and just watch me shoot hoops in my driveway while she sipped her tea, and there were times she'd get upset with me because she thought I was stealing her newspapers. Her husband would gently guide her back inside whenever this happened, and he'd always give me an apologetic wave. About a month ago, I bought a motorcycle that I had dreamed about owning since I turned 16. It was a vintage Harley, chrome gleaming and painted deep red like a ruby. That Sunday afternoon, I was polishing it in my driveway when suddenly the old woman surprised me. She shuffled over and said, "Beautiful bike, son." "Thank you, Rose," I said. She had forgotten her own name most days, but somehow still recognized mine, so I always called her Rose because that's what her husband called her. Rose began circling the motorcycle slowly, her weathered hands tracing the air above the chrome, smiling and calling it magnificent. She told me about a motorcycle she used to ride in the 1960s, and what she said next absolutely stunned me. She perfectly recalled the day she rode it to surprise her boyfriend at his job, how the wind felt in her hair, and how free she felt racing down the highway. "I may forget where I put my keys," she said, "but I never forget how that felt." I felt my throat tighten as I listened to her. Then, right as I was about to respond, she did something that shocked me even more. She reached into her sweater pocket, pulled out a crumpled $20 bill, and said, "I'll pay you if you take me for a ride." "What?" I stammered. "You really want to go for a ride?" "Damn right I do, sweetheart. I haven't been on a bike in 40 years. Take me for a spin, and this money is yours." "What about your husband? Won't he worry?" I asked. "That dear man is taking his afternoon nap. He'll never know," I snuck out, she said with a mischievous grin. "Why the hell not?" I said to myself and grabbed my spare helmet. She needed help getting on the back seat and grumbled about the helmet messing up her hair, but once we started rolling, everything changed. I drove carefully at first because I didn't want to scare her or cause an accident, but not even 2 minutes in, she tapped my shoulder and shouted over the engine, "Come on, honey, let's see what this baby can really do." For the second time that day, I said to myself, "Why the hell not?" "Okay, Rose, but hold on tight." I took her out to the winding country roads outside town. I opened up the throttle, leaning into curves and letting the engine roar. Rose whooped and hollered, her arms wrapped around my waist, and I could feel her laughing against my back. "That's more like it, kiddo," she yelled. I rode through rolling hills, past farms and forests, hitting straightaways like I was back in high school instead of 22. The old woman laughed and cheered and even started singing an old song I didn't recognize, but her joy was infectious. We spent about 20 minutes on those roads before I reluctantly turned back toward home. Rose was breathing hard but grinning from ear to ear when I helped her off the bike. I walked her to her front door, letting her lean on my arm as she moved slowly up the walkway. Her husband met us at the door, his face a mixture of concern and exasperation, but she waved him off. "Hush now, Harold. This sweet boy just gave me the ride of my life on his motorcycle. Give him that 20 like I promised." She then took his hand as he helped her up the steps. He looked at me with grateful eyes and mouthed, "Thank you," before they went inside. That was one of the last times I ever saw Rose lucid. She passed peacefully in her sleep 3 nights ago. I heard the ambulance early Thursday morning, and Harold came over around noon to tell me. He said she couldn't stop talking about the motorcycle boy and how alive she felt that day. Her funeral is this Saturday, and Harold asked if I'd lead the procession to the cemetery on my Harley. He said she would have loved that.